Okay, all up and running.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's hearing. My name is Councillor Munir Ahmed, and I shall be chairing the meeting. My colleagues, Councillor Rima Baklini, Councillor John Bull, and I comprise today's subcommittee for the review hearing. Onemi Davis is the legal advisor to the subcommittee. Isabel Robb is the clerk to the subcommittee and will be minuting the meeting. In accordance with the procedures, I shall invite the applicant to present the application, answer any questions, and call any witnesses. Invite the premises to make their representations, answer any questions, and call any witnesses, and then invite the parties to briefly sum up their respective cases. At the conclusion of the hearing, the subcommittee, accompanied by the legal advisor and the committee clerk, will retire to consider its decision. The decision will be given at the end of the meeting, and I will announce the time when we come to the end of the meeting and confirmed in writing within 5 working days. If the panel cannot reach a decision today, you will be notified in writing within 5 working days of the panel's decision. So before I ask the applicant to present, can I ask those present to introduce yourself, please? Mr. Duncan, can you introduce yourself and your relationship to the premises, please?
Yeah, it's a common mistake, Chair. It's Duncan's my first name, but don't worry, it happens all the time. So you're in very, very good company. Yes, I'm Duncan Craig. I'm here to represent the license holder who is also here. Rogerio, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Rogerio Mendes. I'm the license holder of the premises. Yes.
Thank you. And Robert Deere?
Thank you, Chair. Bob Deere, I'm the Licensing Compliance and Enforcement Officer for Ealing Council.
Thank you. Okay, now the applicant is the licensing authority. Robert Deere, if you can present your application, please.
Thank you, Chair. This review was served on the 19th of December after an incident that happened at the premises on the 20th of September, where 2 illegal workers were encountered. Both were working illegally in the UK, and I understand, after speaking to Mr. Mendes's son when I served a review on the 19th, that unfortunately Mr. Mendes's father passed away in Portugal, and that's why I wasn't on the premises when I served a review. I informed his son to seek legal advice immediately, which he did. I've had a conversation with Mr. Craig, who contacted me, and I have agreed to an offer, conditions offered, and we've agreed that Mr. Mendes will remove himself from the premises license, replaced by, I presume, his son or his daughter, who I've met as well, and 3 conditions that hopefully have been circulated to yourselves will hopefully cure the problem that was there about illegal workers and lack of knowledge on that basis. So I appreciate I did apply for verification. However, due to the circumstances that Mr. Mendes found himself under, and probably the illness beforehand, Mr. Mendes has been a licensee there been on the license there for 9 years, very close to. And we've had no other incidents at the premises that I'm aware of, and due to the circumstances, the civil penalty that I understand is in the total of £45,000, even though I did invite Mr. Mendes' son to get him to appeal that because he missed the appeal date, I believe. And also that the area has already lost 3 licensed premises in 500 metres of this one. We can ill afford to lose should we say, good premises. I believe this is hopefully a one-off, and I'm probably saying everything Mr. Craig was going to mention after. But that is my submission to the committee, so, and I invite you to remove Mr. Mendes as the DPS and attach those conditions to the licence. And that is my evidence. There are no other witnesses, Chair, and I'm unsure what the penalty now is, whether Mr. Mendes successfully appealed it, but I'm sure Mr. Craig can fill you in those details. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, just as a formality, I will ask my colleagues if they have any question, even though Bob Deere has been very clear what he's proposing. But if you have any question, this is an opportunity, and even for Mr. Craig, if you have any question at this stage. And I can see everyone nodding, so no questions. So
I have no questions for Mr. Deere other than to thank him for his cooperation and civilized.
Okay, I'm going to come to you for your presentation in a minute. So I don't see any, and I don't have any question either. So I will move straight to the next step of the hearing, and I will ask Mr. Craig to give his presentation. So this is your opportunity to give presentation, whether it's a short or long. You can tell us.
I expect it'll be about the same length as Mr. Deere's. Sometimes with these reviews, that a lot of the work's done prior to the hearing, and so yes, just to confirm that the removal of Mr. Mendes as the DPS is agreed, as is those three conditions that you've had sight of. As Mr. Deere has said, Ruggiero has held this license since 2016. If you look at the operating schedule at page 37, it's a license of some antiquity, and there've been no reviews in that time. The license is as it was back in fact 2005. So from that point of view, that's an indication that these premises have overall been run in a compliant way. Ruggiero's position is that I think he misapprehended what employment was or wasn't, and this particular individual, he was of the view the person wasn't employed. But look, the law is clear that if somebody's carrying out certain duties, even if it's not for reward, then in those circumstances it is deemed to be employment, and that's perfectly understandable. He has so, and this is another point, obviously Mr. Deere has touched on these premises, the place that they've played in the community, the loss of the on-trade locally. The other point is that it is a 45,000 financial penalty. He is currently in position of negotiating that with the immigration service, but I think they've reached a point where it's going to be paid over a 3-year period. And obviously, if he hasn't got this business, he's not in a position to do that. So I think that's obviously there's a wider public benefit here for Mr. Mendes being in a position to pay the fees, the fine for giving the financial penalty on this. There've been no other reps on this application, and that I guess again supports the submissions that I've made about the conduct of these premises throughout the last 9 years while Mr. Mendes has been the licence holder. He does have other options. Obviously, whatever decision you arrive at today, and also this is still in your hands, whatever decision you arrive at won't take effect for 21 days, and that gives him a period of time just to find an appropriate DPS. There are family members. It's just a case of finding the right one to fit that role. And obviously those conditions will then take effect as well, and they will enhance Mr. Mendes's legal requirements. I mean, look, overall position is he has obviously learned a significant lesson from this process, given the financial penalty that's been imposed. But I'm very grateful to Mr. Deere for what is a fair and proportionate approach from him, recognition of the value these premises provide, recognition of the good track record of Mr. Mendes, and a recognition of the reality that he needs to be in a position to repay that financial penalty to which will go into public funds. So for all those reasons, I would please invite you again to follow the agreed position between the parties. And obviously, if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my question is, what is the penalty for employing an illegal worker?
The maximum penalty is £60,000. It used to be 15, Mr. Deere, was it? And then it's gone up to 60. So, I mean, that's a huge leap, but obviously they've done that for reasons because they need people to feel a level of significant pain, so that people don't do it. That's the absolute truth, and he's learnt that lesson. And
Thank you.
He's obviously undertaking those checks now, and will continue in the future because he can't keep having £45 fines. None of us can. So that satisfactory answers your question, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else want to ask any question? No? No. Okay. I don't see anyone.
Sorry, yes, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Ball.
Sorry, I just put my real hand up instead of my virtual.
Okay, I didn't see.
This one.
Sorry. Thank
Sorry.
you. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so just, I mean, I'm sure we're all very sympathetic with the family circumstances, but I'm just, in terms of changing the DPS, if I suppose you could look at it either way. If we're changing to another family member, and sort of perhaps the son who was there at the time, so in a, I suppose, as I say, you can look at it either way. Is it does it rectify the issue if we're handing the role over to another member of the family? But looking at it the other way, is it even necessary to change the DPS if this was a lapse due to the family circumstances?
Yeah, so Mr. Mendes is looking over a period of time at scaling down his involvement in the business, and so this probably would have happened in any event as he's sort of passing the baton over. I mean, look, there are two legal personalities on a premises license: the holder of the license and the DPS, and they both have responsibilities under the Act. And I guess, just in practical terms, if that's responsibility is shared between two people, then that's in many ways going to be better, particularly in an on-premises. I think it's probably different with an off license. So I think, if I'm being frank, Councillor Ball, I think this probably would have happened in any event, but certainly it's part of a process that the client is going through. But certainly, what it will mean is that, and there's case law around this, the DPS and the licence holder, if they're separate people, they're both legally responsible, and that goes for things like prosecutions and financial penalties as well. So there's case law around PRS, for example, where the DPS was held to be the person responsible for the PRS fee. I remember reading up on that a short while ago. So that's the position, but the reality is it's a family business, and so that is a sort of natural course for matters to take. It's not definitely going to be the son. Rogerio's partner also holds personal license, so he's going to reflect on that, and obviously whoever it is will be someone that's close to him and someone that will work positively with Mr. Deere, I'm sure, going forward.
Mr. Deere, you want to add something to this?
Yes, Chair. Sorry, I may have confused the panel. Mr. Mendes, sorry, his son was not there on the day of the offence. He was there on the day that I served the review. Excuse me. And obviously that's how I was informed that Mr. Mendes was in Portugal. But I think also what happened slightly with the on the day with some of the lack of knowledge, that's why we've asked for the DPS to be removed. And perhaps a new person coming in will I don't know, we hopefully won't change the business from the pub, but or bar, but will give us some new perspective.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if any further question from anyone? No, I don't see any indication. In that case, I will ask both parties to sum up their cases. So first, who is going first?
Me, sir. Me, Chair.
Mr. Deere.
Thank you, Chair. All I've got to show is also one other thing. I mean, is the perhaps the remorse that has been shown by Mr. Mendes as well towards this offence. And I say it's been probably an expensive lesson learnt. And obviously, with the penalties, they do now go up and up and up and up. Where if you find 5 workers, I think you would be looking for a new business, because not many people can afford probably £150,000 fine, because that's what they go up and up. You know, it multiplies by the number of people on there as well. Thank you, Chair. I've got no other question. No other statement.
Thank you. Mr. Craig, you want to sum up briefly before we move?
I'll be brief, I promise. Yeah, so obviously we've got an agreed position here. There's 2 parties to these proceedings. As I say, a lot of the work's been done before, which potentially makes your job easier, but of course it's still in your hands. But I would please just invite you, given the agreed position that's arrived at, I think it's fair and proportionate and sensible, and recognition of some of the better aspects of how this business is run. And therefore just invite you to add those conditions and remove Mr. Mendes's DPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we've come to the end of the hearing, and the agreed conditions, as I see, is the removal of the DPS, and then there are 3 other conditions that have been agreed between both parties. I'm not going to read them, but they have been circulated to all parties. So when we make the decision, we will take that into consideration. So if Isabel, is there anything that you need to clarify, or you are okay with your notes?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Ms. Davies, is there anything that you need to clarify, or you're okay?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, we are going to retire, and I'm going to propose that we will come back and announce the decision at 11 o'clock. But I would still ask the parties to stay nearby. If we are able to do it before, we will come before and we will let you know. But 11 is the time I'm giving, but do not go away, please. So at the moment, you can leave the meeting and we will retire for deliberations.
Sorry, Chair, do we, I'm slightly confused. Do we stay on? You said leave the meeting. Do we just stay where we are and leave?
Isabel, how are they going to do? Are they going to, what happens with them?
You're welcome to leave the meeting and then rejoin it, and then I'll be able to let you in once the deliberations are finished.
Okay. So
otherwise, you can rejoin at 11. It's up to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.